What's going on YouTube? Welcome to WestysAngling. Today me and my dad are at High Heyes Fishery. He's fishing the peg behind me here, and I'm going to do a little bit of cage feeder fishing for you today. Something a little bit different than the method feeder. Now it has just come first light, so you might not be able to see the rig yet, but I will show it you when it gets a bit brighter. But I'm just fishing with a small cage feeder, 30 gram. So I've just made a slight adjustment on my rod and swapped for the 1 ounce tip rather than the 2 ounce tip, just because I'll be able to get better indications from smaller fish. I'll be fishing with maggots and worms today for a variety of species, not just for carp. I've scaled down the hook link that I would normally use, so I'm using a 5 pound hook link. I'm going to start off with a 14s hook because I will be fishing with worms as well, so I need a hook big enough to keep the worms on. And like I said, when it gets a bit brighter I'll show you the rig that I'm using, but it's just a simple running rig with a little bit of a twist. I'm just using a quick change bead at the end of the rig, so I'm pretty much ready to get going. My dad's still setting up. I tied this rig up last night, so I'm a little bit more prepared. So when he gets his rig sorted, we'll start fishing, and we'll do a little bit of a dad versus lad challenge today, just for anything that swims. My dad's using a slightly different approach to me, so I've just got some maggots, some worms and some ground bait mixed up. I'm going to swap over to using natural baits rather than wafters and stuff like that. Like I said, my dad's using a slightly different approach. He's blended up some bread to use as ground bait. What using as a hook bait? Bread. And he's just using bread as a hook bait, so matching what he's feeding with bread on the hook. Feels weird not fishing method feeders, doesn't it, Dad? Oh, yeah. So he's just got a simple running feeder there and a little bit of a shot as a stop, and then he's got a simple loop to loop. You won't be able to see it, it is early morning, but a simple loop to loop there with his hook link, and it looks like his hook link's about 1.5 foot. He's fishing on the opposite side to me. This is actually the same lake, it goes round in a big horseshoe. I'm guessing that you're probably going to be fishing over to that aerator. Yeah. In the middle, so there's an aerator just there, so we'll probably be fishing over to that. I'm going to do the same, but I've also got a little bit of an advantage, I would say, that I can also fish to this reed bed here on the side. So a little bit later on we might try for a carp down there. I'll have to set my drag low because, like I said, I am only fishing 5 pound line, and the fish will still have quite a bit of energy at this time of year. The water completely slowed down. But I'm ready to get fishing, like I said, just waiting for my dad to get himself sorted. We got here really early this morning. It was still dark when we got here, but at least we missed the traffic. My feeder rod, I've just got this in the retaining ring there. Fishing with a smaller feeder than my dad, but it is fairly heavy. It's a 30 gram feeder, Preston Innovations one. I've just got that on a type of American snap swivel that's got a bit of a buffer bead on it, so a little bit different. I was debating whether to change this rod into its 12-foot configuration, because with this method it's not like the method feeder, I will have to strike into the fish. So I was thinking that maybe with the 12-foot configuration I'd have a bit more leverage on the strike, but I think we'll be all right. A couple of you were asking about my reel. It's just a Daiwa Crossfire, and the rod's a Shimano Speedmaster commercial, 9 to 12 foot. When I say 9 to 12 foot, I can either have it as a 9-foot rod or a 12-foot rod. It's got an extendable section. I think quite a lot of feeder rods do that now, to make them versatile. But yeah, I'm gonna get fishing. So we're going to kick this off with maggots on the hook, I think. My dad's already fishing. He's started the challenge and started cheating without even telling me. I'll try and keep a running count of the fish that we catch. So I'm going to start this off with 3 maggots on the hook. I've got my drag set really low, just in case we get a carp on there. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bit of ground bait in here. Put some maggots in as well, and then just pack that in fairly tight, just so it can stay on for the cast. I've got my brolly above me, which could be quite annoying. I might have to change that. And I'm just going to pop it over to this aerator. Sink my line, and then just tighten up to the feeder. Nice soft 1 ounce tip, so I should be able to bend that right round, and that'll help with the hooking of the fish as well, if I've got a nice aggressive bend in my tip. So this is a semi-running rig. I've just got a tiny little stop knot which will help hook the fish when I get a take, but I'll show you that a little bit later on when it gets a bit lighter. So my dad's just told me that I've just tried to give him a pointer, but he's just said don't try and teach your grandma how to suck eggs, so we'll see about that, won't we? We'll see who wins today. I've not had any indications so far. I have seen fish moving over to the aerator though, so it's a good sign. Let's do a time check. What time are we on? It's 7:30, so it's first thing in the morning. Come light about half an hour ago. Fingers crossed we get a few fish today. Now, I probably won't be doing as much talking on this video. The reason being is I will have to concentrate on my rod tip, because like I said, I'm going to have to, with this method, I'm going to have to strike into the fish if I get a bite. So I've got to be a little bit more on it. So that's been in a couple of minutes. I'm just going to reel it in, see if the maggots are still on. So they've still got our maggots on, yep. So let's get some more ground bait in that feeder and start building this swim up. So maggots in, some ground bait in there. So just a little overarm lob to that aerator. It's really windy today, so I'm sorry if you can't really hear me. This wind coming in, it is blowing a gale. Reason I'm fishing with worm and maggot is they have got some really nice perch in here as well. Now I'm not really fishing in the right area, I don't think, for catching perch, but you never know, might get one on the off chance. And like I said, I'll try over to these reeds in a bit as well. Dad's behind me there, I'm sure he'll give us a shout if he gets a fish. There's no activity on the rod tip so far. Second cast in, so I'm still building the swim up. So that's the setup there, folks. Set my stall out for the day, look. But the wind's proper buffeting against that brolly. Also brought my float rod, which is pre-set up, so I can try that today as well if I wanted to, close in. But I think it's a little bit windy for using a float today. I have ordered some 20 gram feeders as well. This is a 30 gram, which might be a little bit heavy for the type of fish that we're fishing for today, like hide and small bream and stuff like that. Hey, little hide, look. First fish. Well, we've had no tangles so far, which is telling me that my rig's working. Because that's the main thing when you feeder fishing like this, to have no tangles. Yeah, but we're not fishing on size, are we? We're fishing on most fish.
When did that come out? That's a biggish tench.
It is, it's a decent tench in here, yeah. But it's not far for a couple of pounds, is it? So like I said to you, my dad's fishing bread flake on the hook and bread feed in the cage feeder crumbed up. So it just shows you that bread's such an effective bait. You know, that was a lovely tench. I think maggots will attract me more of the smaller fish, with the off chance of getting something bigger potentially. If the ground bait draws something bigger in. Some half decent bream in here. There's a lot of them nice tench, barbel carp, and some really good hide. And like I said, it's a pretty good perch water as well, I believe. I believe that they go up to about £3, I think I've sent them out to, which is, it's a stonking perch. I'm going to keep on at it and get through these small hide. There's my disgorger. I think I'm going to need this pretty much every time the wolf in these maggots now. Left-handed. There we go. What's that? Well, at least it's peaceful here.
It's filling potholes in the car park, I think. Luckily there's none at this end, there's just one or two at that end.
Just had another hide.
Oh, have you?
2-1. If we keep catching these little hide, I'll try a worm in a minute. See if we can get something a little bit better. Well, I've either foul hooked something or I had a fish on.
Are we saying foul fish don't count?
Yeah. So fingers crossed it's not. Oh, I don't know, Dad. This is I think this will have to go to VR. I'm pushing it though because I've hooked it. Oh, it's like, it's not in the lip, let's just say that. It's next to the lip. It must have just been thinking about coming down for it and I struck into it. It's unhooked itself. Well, there you go. Well, I don't think this is a bream. If it is, it's a big one. F1. Hook right in the corner of the lip. So if you're wondering why we're in different pegs, we've come down to the top end of the lake. We weren't doing much down the bottom and the wind's blowing into this corner. So these are the two pegs that we'd usually fish on this lake. We just wanted to try that bottom end to see how we'd get on, and it was really slow going. So we decided to make the move. We've come down to the end of the causeway, and I've already had a bream and a carp. My dad still only had that one tench, so I'm on 4 fish now and he's still on 1. So no doubt he'll blame me because he's had to move. So but the wind's blowing right into us here, which is a good thing. I'm gonna get my feeder back out. Nice little F1 that. So before I cast back in, I'm just going to quickly talk you through the rig that I'm using today. As you can see, I've got a size 14's feeder hook, which is perfect for keeping this small bunch of maggots on. I've got 4 maggots on that. Then I've got about a 1-foot-long section of 5-pound line. That's Guru N-gauge. It's a very low diameter line. And then I've got a quick change bead, so I can quickly swap hook links if I need to. There's a little hook on the inside of there that you can just quickly swap out a hook link if you wanted to test out different lengths. I started on a longer hook link today and then I've shortened it up and it seems to be working a little bit better. Then I've got a free running American swivel type system, but it's actually got a bead on it as well. So it's a little buffer bead American snap swivel type setup. I just got them on eBay, just the small ones, and a little bit of a twist. So I've got a twizzle boom section, so that quick change beads attached with a twizzle boom section, just to strengthen this little 6 inches of line there. So when a fish pulls this, it actually runs, and then there's a small, you probably won't be able to see it on the GoPro, but there's a small stop knot, which is just a figure of 8 loop knot. And what happens is when the fish bolts, takes line, it'll actually hit that knot. Now if it needed to, that can actually pull through that little bead, that knot. So it's semi-fixed, so a fish is going to bolt, hook itself, and then if it really runs off, that feeder is going to slide down the line as it should. So that's the rig, nice and simple. You'll have to get it in quick, Dad, because there's only 16% on this battery. Trying to keep an eye on my tip as well. Shot off like a decent fish. Do you think tench? See, Dad, lucky WestysAngling hoodie, innit? There we go. That's the reason. Tell you what, folks, you want to see all the bubbles coming up the opposite side of this aerator boy. Just beyond where I'm fishing. It's like a jacuzzi, it's crazy. I'm just going to keep recasting fairly often, and hopefully it draws them in. But it must be carp, either that or a big shoal of bream. So I'm fishing about probably there, and all the bubbles are about here. So it's not miles away. Just hopefully I can draw them in. It's everywhere, look, everywhere on the opposite side of this. Where I can't cast. So on the opposite side of the aerator tubing, patch of bubbles there, patch of bubbles towards the margin on the other side. Crazy. Yeah, I don't think another tench. F1. Is this your third fish?
Yeah.
What am I on, 4? Keep an eye on my rod.
This could be a bad one.
No, I think an F1. I think it's a bit late in the year for a barrel.
It's all getting bottom.
Tench. Nice one. That's a really nice tench. They've grown, haven't they? Yeah, at least, yeah, it's a big tench there. I think the one thing I've noticed about fishing at High Heyes is it's very silty, the bottom. The cage feeder seems clogged up when I reel in, like it's sunk right in. Let's try a worm. I should probably be fishing a slightly bigger hook than this size 14s for worms, but I'm gonna try it. There we go, it's double back through. Then I'll just tip it off with a maggot just to keep the worm out of the way. There we go. Oh, it scoffed that worm. Well, I'm glad I put that bigger hook bait on to deter these smaller fish. Oh, skimmers. Scoffled that worm. The tench. Another nice one as well. They've stacked on some weight this year, haven't they?
Only small, this one.
I know, it's still nice for here.
Oh yeah.
So like I said to you before, I'm fishing maggots and worms and my dad's fishing on bread. It just shows you that he's getting a completely different species to me. I've not had a tench today. I've had bream, I've had carp, I've had hide. So it shows you that if you want to target slightly different fish, it's worth changing your hook bait up sometimes. Bread's always good for tench, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bread on the deck is very, very good for tench. Using bread feed, especially at natural venues as well. Seems to do really well, or park lakes where, you know, tench get big in them. If you want to go and target them, obviously they're used to grubbing around on the bottom and feeding on bread that people are throwing in for the ducks, so can be a really effective bait. I think that puts you on the same amount of fish as me, doesn't it? Oh no, I've just had that.
4 5.
4-5, I'm one ahead. Right, I'm gonna get my feeder back out. Well, I think this is a better fish. Throw my phone in the worms. Let's just check we're filming. Feels like a big bream. It's coming in like a lead weight. Yeah. Oh my god, that is a good bream. Look at this for a bream. Slab that, isn't it? Hunt worm. Well, I'm glad we made that move up here, Dad.
Yeah.
Perfectly hooked inside at mouth. I was only getting small indications, but yeah, it's a nice bream, that. But it is interesting to see that I'm getting a different species of fish than my dad is, just by fishing a different hook bait. You'd have thought that the tench would have taken the worm as well. What are we on, 5-6?
4 6 at the minute.
It's a carp. F1. Oh, nice F1. Yeah, hunt worm. Very typical F1 of here. They're like a brown colour, the F1s here, aren't they? Well, quite a bit ahead of you now, Dad. Keeps asking for a refund on his lucky WestysAngling hoodie. So all I'm doing is worm tipped with one maggot just to keep the worm on and to keep the hook point clear. Oh no. This is either a tench or a carp. What will this put the worms and maggots on? 8? Is it, or more? I think it's a foul up bream. Does it still count? I've netted it, so I'm counting it. 4-8, eh? Yeah, it's fell hooked in the top fin. I don't know how it's done that. Oh, proper in there. Well, I think we could already come to the conclusion that worms and maggots are a better bait, aren't they, than bread? What about, oh, well, how about bread feed? Bread feed with worms and maggots. That'd probably be the best.
Possibly, yeah.
That'd be the best of all worlds, wouldn't it? You'll get the attraction of the bread and the movement of the worms and the maggots. But yeah, it's not turning into a bad session actually. There's loads of fizzing and bubbling over near the aerator. On the opposite side to the part that I can actually get to though. they're keeping well back. Pretty much all the fish that I've had so far have been self-hooked. So this rig's working. Like I said, about 1.5 foot there of hook link to a quick change bead, just a normal quick change bead. So if you pull this insert out, you can literally just change your hook link. That's all it is, a little rubber round part which pushes into like a hooked peg, and that just seals that hook link in, and you can change it. This is for the beginners obviously. And then I've just got these snap swivels which are attached to a running bead off eBay, and then you just attach your feeder there to the snap swivel. This is a 30-gram feeder, and this is just a twizzle boom section. So when I'm tying it, I'm putting loads of twists in the line, and that just gives it a little bit more strength and thickness when the feeder's sliding up and down it. And like I said, if we hooked a really big fish, it'd be able to pull this bead over that knot, and that knot is what's causing the self-hooking action. I'm putting some maggots in the feeder as well. I've just got some ground bait. I was running out of ground bait, so I've actually crumbled up my flapjack and put that in as well. So flapjack, the new ground bait. Definitely cheaper. What's happened there? I thought you had a small fish on. I don't know what I'm into here. This one's shot straight off as well. Oh, this is it. You thought you were going to be one back as well. Got under thing?
Yeah.
Oh shit. I was too busy looking at you, and mine nearly got under stanchion as well. That's a lovely tench. Oh, what maggots. You thought you were going to be one up and now you're one back. I've got some. No, just get one out of my bag.
10?
Yeah, nice one as well. It's definitely bigger than yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I use a small net, so it makes my fish look bigger. So that's just on a bunch of 4 maggots. Lovely tench. Look at how long it is. I bet that's about 1.5 foot long. It's not thick bodied, but really long fish. My dad lost his underneath the stanchion. He was using a free running rig though, so the fish won't be towing about a feeder. There we go. So I think that puts me on 10 fish, and I think my dad's still on 4 or 5. So worms and maggots are winning. Which, to be fair, you'd expect, wouldn't you? Can't beat them for an autumn bait. I just wanted to try something different, you know, a bit of cage feeder fishing rather than method feeder. You know, I usually fish method feeder all year round. The only thing that I normally change up is I'll just scale it down a bit. I'll use like 5-pound uplinks, or, you know, scale down the main line a touch, but not much, you know. I don't think it really matters when you're fishing the method feeder. But like I said, I'm only using 5-pound hook link here, Guru Engage, which has a very, very low line diameter anyway, so it's probably more like the equivalent of what a 3-pound line would be. So it is pretty light stuff. It's very thin. So I know that a lot of you are local to these fisheries, so if you're interested in which lake we're fishing at High Heyes, as you're coming onto the car park, we are on the right hand lake. So not the first lake as you come in, there's a middle one, and then this is the end one, and there's a big causeway that comes right down the centre, and we're at the end of the causeway here. We usually fish back to back. Now at different times of the year these different sides can be productive. We do fish it a lot, High Heyes. I haven't done a High Heyes fishery review video, but we do rate it highly. We never catch loads when we come here, especially not carp. So if you want to come for the carp, then this is probably not the place to come. There's probably better places for carp. But if you want to come for tench, it's a great tench fishery. Barbel, there's some really good barbel in here down the margins. So both sides, like I said, can be productive, but I would say the majority of the fish come out the right hand side. In spring, so first few weeks of spring, the left hand side's great for tench. But I think my dad's just going to tackle back up and get another feeder on. How much is it for a day ticket now, Dad? Yeah, obviously I'm only fishing one rod today, but £7 and £1 for an extra rod. Yeah, so £8 for 2 rods at High Heyes. I'll put the link for the fishery down in the description below, as well as a link for all the stuff that I'm using today, all the equipment, as I normally do for you. But yeah, I'm going to get my feeder back out, see if I can get a couple more while he's tackling up. Right, let's get some more flapjack in. Get some more maggots as well. Push some of them in. It's alright, that flapjack ground bait. Yeah, I'm going for you, Dad. No, 410. Don't do me out of that fish. Anyway, when you get broke or you lose one, it comes off as a minus. Well, my dad's just got another, so that's 10.5. Got some catching up to do. You better hurry up, Dad.
That's a proper brew.
Smaller than mine.
There it is. Yeah, mine was bigger than that. We'll have to go to VR for it, but...
Well, it's putting some rain down now. I think everybody else on the entire complex has cleared off. It's just me and my dad left on it now. I don't think they were catching, to be fair. That's been fairly tough fishing today, but we are managing to get a few out. Like I say, never catch loads at High Heyes, but you always do seem to catch. You'll have a couple in a day. Good place for winter. Like I said before, some big perch. And if you come here fishing float, you'd have an hide every single cast, no doubt. It's jam-packed with them. Feels like a bream. Coming in pretty easy. That's a small tench. Speeding around. Second time he's avoided the net. Yeah, a little tench. God, it's wolfed them maggots down. Right at the back of its throat. Okay folks, so we're going to call it a day there and get packed up. I hope you've enjoyed this short feeder session. It turns out that worms and maggots have come out on top today, but my dad still managed to wangle quite a few fish out on the bread. I think what I would like to try next time is blended up bread flakes with maggots and worms on the hook. I think that'll be the best combination rather than using ground bait in the feeder. But I enjoyed this session and doing something a little bit different with the cage feeder rather than the method feeder. So we look forward to seeing you in the next Westies Angling, and thank you for watching. Look at this, trying to sneak a last one in. They love that bread, those tench, don't they? Another nice one as well. I just wanted to say again, guys, thanks very much for watching the video, and to give a little shout out to Dylan. Congratulations on winning last week's giveaway. So this week's giveaway is this lovely black beanie with the Westys Angling logo on that I'm wearing now. To be in with a chance of winning this, really simple. All you need to do is have commented down below. You need to be subscribed to the channel and you need to share the video with an angling friend. So what I'll do is when the video gets to 5,000 views, I'll pick somebody at random from the comments down below and I'll make a community post. So keep your eyes open for that, letting the winner know that they've won. And what I'll do is also try and contact you directly as well. So we'll see you in the next Westys Angling.